We are outside Titanic entrance. How the building looks like from outside. It's very windy. Hi, welcome to the channel. Good afternoon. I'm in Belfast today. Today I'm in Titanic Museum. So let's have a look together. Harvested flax, the fibers, brown and white linen. Firemen on Titanic. This is the British Empire map, 1907.
Enormous gantries, a dry dock built for a ship that hadn't even been built yet.
Working in industrial Belfast.
Sorry, Mr. Harrison. You didn't say anything precise. I was merely speculating. You may have speculated more accurately than you realised. I did. I, of course, was privileged to accompany the gentleman who was speaking. Currently composing a new generation of ocean liners. Big ships, Mr. Harrison. Largest and most luxurious ever. Not so fast as Lusitania. Half as big again. More to the liking of the upper crust. 3, I think they said. It's where they find a sort of money from. It's a power project. Mr. Ismay has the backing of the distinguished American financier John Pierpont Morgan through his shipping firm, the International Mercantile Marine Company. And I thought, you built British ships. You find British flag, James. They shall be constructed in our finest shipyard by our most skilled craftsmen. We provide them with ambassadors for the empire. British ships built with American money. There's more coming to. It's not the road to be right along the James. It's the years of every privilege to travel in such magnificent surroundings. luxury and elegance are the better sort expected. It's made invited, and that's why they're going to build them bigger still. Did you hear that, James? Over dinner, before the gentleman started to talk, his lordship was talking about the largest dry dock in Belfast. Enormous gantries, a dry dock built for a ship that hadn't even been built yet. Flickering years of service, he keeps it himself. Sorry, Sir Harrison. It's imprecise. I was expecting it. I speculated more accurately than you realised. I did. I, of course, was privileged to accompany the gentleman with the smoking. You're indeed proposing a new generation of ocean liners. Big ships, Mr. Harrison. The largest and most luxurious ever. Not so fast as Shipyard's Lusitania.
That's the stamp ticket.
More to the liking of the upper crust. 3, I think they said. Meeting where they find this sort of money from. That's the clever part, James. Mr. Ismay has the backing of the distinguished American financier John Pierpont Morgan through his shipping firm, the International Mercantile Marine Company. But I thought he built British ships. They fly the British flag, James, and they shall be constructed in our finest shipyard by our most skilled craftsmen. Great Leviathans acting as ambassadors for the Empire. British ships built with American money. Where's the world coming to? That's not for the right to be right to wonder, James. I don't suppose either of us will ever be privileged to travel in such magnificent surroundings. Oh, that's another day done, James. Another long day indeed. They're not talking late tonight. Great affairs, James. Great affairs. Always that way when Mr. Ismay dines with his lordship. I should think so. His lordship and Mr. Ismay are eminent men. Colin Wolf is the world's greatest shipbuilder, and the White Star Line is the jewel of the Atlantic services. Tanya rules the waves. I hear Kunai is faster now. It's not a matter of speed, James.
This is a time clock.
Mr. Ismay's passenger. James, you always don't have time on their hands. So we'll have none of that talk here. I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison, I'm fair one out. What's so special about Mr. Ismay's ships, then? Luxury, James. That's the mark of the White Star Line. Luxury and elegance. But the better sort expected, Mr. Ismay provides it. And that's why they're going to build them bigger still. Where'd you hear that, James? Over dinner. Before the gentleman tried to talk, his lordship was talking about the largest dry dock in Belfast. Enormous gantries, a dry dock built for a ship that hadn't even been built yet. The footman here's in service, he keeps it himself, James. Sorry, Sir Harrison. They didn't say anything precise, I was expecting it. You speculated more accurately than you realised. I did. I, of course, was privileged to accompany the gentleman with the smoking. They are indeed proposing a new generation of ocean liners. Big ships, Mr. Harrison. The largest and most luxurious ever. Not so fast as Shipyard's Lusitania, half as big again, more to the liking of the upper crust. 3, I think they said. Eating where they find this sort of money from. That's the clever part, James. Mr. Ismay has the backing of the distinguished American financier John Pierpont Morgan through his shipping firm, the International Mercantile Marine Company. But I thought you built British ships. They fly the British flag, James, and they shall be constructed in our finest shipyard by our most skilled craftsmen. Great Leviathans acting as ambassadors for the Empire. British ships built with American money. Where's the world coming to? It's not for the right to be right to wonder, James. I don't suppose either of us will ever be privileged to travel in such magnificent surroundings. Oh, that's another day done, James. Another long day indeed. They're going to talking late tonight. Great affairs, James. Great affairs. Always that way when Mr. Ismay dines with his lordship. So, his lordship and Mr. Ismay are eminent men. Shipbuilder, and the White Star Line is the jewel of the Atlantic services. Tanya rules the waves. I hear Kunai is faster now. It's not a matter of speed, James. Mr. Ismay's passenger. James, you always don't have time on their hands, so we'll have none of that talk here. Sorry, Mr. Harrison, fair one. What's so special about Mr. Ismay's ships, then? Luxury, James. That's the mark of the White Star Line. Luxury and elegance. The better sort expected. Mr. Ismay provides it. And that's why they're going to build them bigger still. You hear that?
Cảm ơn các bạn kéo con. All right, go up, keep following. Take that room out. It's moving, you ready? Go, boys.
Shipyard gates, this is it. The tide's rising.
Launch the mono rocket.
Back to it, Charlie.
Down, to the gates.
No champagne.
By March 1912, the Titanic was ready for her day's voyage. For Belfast, the triumphant culmination of many years' planning and labour. Before she could be handed over, Titanic had to undergo sea trials. On the 2nd of April 1912, she carried out a series of maneuvers in open water under the watchful eye of Board of Trade Inspector Francis Carruthers. Then, at 8 p.m. that evening, she departed Belfast for Southampton. She was preceded by a considerable wait of expectation. At Southampton, the White Star Line had already constructed a massive deep-water ocean dock, covering almost 16 acres and dredged to a depth of 40 feet. England's premier passenger port was flourishing, with new shops, restaurants and businesses opening to service the growing passenger trade. And job opportunities on board ship and in the docks brought migrants from all over Britain and Ireland. Almost 400 of Titanic's crew lived in Southampton's northern district. A national coal strike had left several ships laid up in dock, and the prospect of a job on Titanic was a welcome relief for crewmen who managed to sign up. On April 5th, Titanic was dressed in her signal flags and pennants as a Good Friday tribute to the people of Southampton who had welcomed her. By April 10th, the ship had been fully provisioned, including 75,000 pounds of fresh meat, 40,000 eggs, 1,000 sweetbreads, and 8,000 cigars. At 7 a.m., Captain Edward John Smith came aboard the Titanic to prepare for the Board of Trade muster at 8. Around 9:30, the first passenger arrived, and brought trade from London to England. By late morning, all the passengers and crew were aboard, minus 2 firemen who were delayed at Holbeck House and instead of return. At noon on April 10th, back on tide, we expected to be in New York in a few days. Titanic sounded her whistle and cast off behind us. Titanic's
Boosted by a considerable late-night execution. At Southampton, the White Star Line will later construct a massive deep-water ocean tunnel, covering almost 16 meters and dragged to a depth of 40 feet. Aiming at under passenger four-wheel skirmish, some new shops, restaurants, and businesses open to service the growing passenger traffic. And job opportunities for locals to ship iron wells, raw goods, from all over the country. Titanic was dressed in her single flags and bells. Full value gift to the people of Southampton who welcomed her. By April 10th, shipping had begun provision, including 75,000 pounds of fresh meat, 40,000 eggs, 1,000 sweetbreads, and 8,000 cigars. At 7 a.m., Captain Edward Johnson came aboard the Titanic to prepare for the homeward trade muster at 8. Around 9:30, the first passengers arrived on the boat train from London Waterloo. By late morning, all the passengers and crew were aboard, minus 2 firemen who were delayed enough from Lake Houston since the departure. At noon, on April 10th, right on time, fully expected to be in New York in a few days, Titanic sounded her whistle and passed off her lights. Titanic's launch in May 1911 was watched by an estimated 100,000 people. Almost a year of fitting out, transforming the massive boat into some kind of liner. By March 1909,
Save it for the music hall. You will find yourself downstairs for the rest of the trip. This is White Star Line. Lane, all set. In attend to the promenade doors, if you please. I don't want them jamming like they were yesterday. Right. See you. Good afternoon, sir.
I was there from the beginning. I watched the shipwrights lay the keel blocks. They set big wooden blocks on the slipway to start with, then the keel at top of it, like a backbone, and the frames attached to that, like a skeleton. Workshops everywhere. It took weeks to find your way around. There'd be workshops for every trade you ever heard of. Painters, sailmakers, coppersmiths, boiler makers, cabinet makers. I even learned a bit about French polishing of them. Harlow's was a fine place to work, but dangerous. Every ship cost a life, and there'd be lots of injuries besides.
I was in the engine works for a while. Very well equipped it was. That's where we built the triple expansion engines. 2 of them, each as high as a 3-story house.
I worked in the frame bending shop. You had heat steel beams in the furnace, then hook them on the slabs of cast iron and hammer them curved. It was skilled work. You had to bend them more than you needed because the frame straightened out a little when it cooled.
The shell plates that made up the hull weighed up to 4.5 tons. They were taller than my dad.
The plates were overlapped on the edges. Some were raised, one after another. We called it clincher. One of the foremen told me years ago, that's how you built steel ships.
I worked as a heater boy. You had to heat the rivets on a wee plate. You put the bellows till the rivet was white hot, then you get a hold of it with your tongs and throw it up to the catcher, and he put it in the hole in the plate with a holder up. There were 2 of us on the other side of the plate with a holder up. We had to hammer the rivet so it filled the hole before it turned dull red. The double bottom. That's a wee space we called the tanks, made up of steel plates. The rest of the rivet squad all had to fit into that gap. One of the foremen would check each rivet with a special hammer. If it made a ringing sound, we'd have to get back and chase it out after work. I'd get scared working down in that double bottom. You only had candles for light. And the constant hammering against the shell plates. You could hear it all over Belfast. Some of these boys ended up stone deaf, so they did. We were paid 31 bob a week. The heater boy and catcher did 16 bob, but we all worked the same 54 hours.
The upper deck was steel too, and part of the strength of the ship. There's no straight lines in the ship, and when you look down the weather deck, you can see the shear of the hull, the stopped her flexing its feet. The stern frame had to be strong enough to take the rudder turning in heavy seas. You'd have all these timbers and guy wires to steady the frame, and men scurrying around like ants underneath. When we came to launch day, I was torn between pride and fear. The standing wings were coated in tallow, train oil and soft soap, so the ship would slide.
And the ultimate conflict was the sinking of a great ship, and we argued over whose fault it was and why it had happened. And without it, there is a whole other world and worlds that can be opened and unfolded, and we can understand more about ourselves. Perhaps we can even look after it. And the ultimate conflict was the sinking of a great ship, and we argued over whose fault it was and why it had happened. And without it, there is a whole other world and worlds that can be opened and unfolded, and we can understand more about ourselves. Perhaps we can even look after it.